a vlog on YouTube? Who is this guy? I think the last time I did a full upload on this channel was more than a year ago. I was at a very interesting time in my life. I was still trying to talk about shoes in the midst of being unemployed after getting laid off from Facebook and trying to just figure out where I go from that point on. I was still doing things on TikTok. At that point, I was like, what, 3.5 years into talking about sneakers on TikTok, and that still continued on. But now we're at a crossroads. At this point, as of this upload, we're like 10 days out from the potential of TikTok getting banned in the United States. And it kind of put me in a position to have to think about, what do I do next in case things go sideways? So I wanted to just take this opportunity to reconnect with everybody here and just talk about what I've been up to and what I intend to do moving forward. So over the past year, I've been consistently creating content for TikTok and then also posting that content here on YouTube and just kind of using it as a secondary place where I can share sneaker content or anything related to that environment, if you will. As a content creator, it's really important to kind of cast a wide net versus just kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. And I was streaming on Twitch here and there, and to be honest, I think I've kind of fallen out of love with streaming on Twitch. Gaming has and always will be a very big part of my life, but for some reason, it just doesn't have that same, it doesn't give me that same spark of joy, if you will. And I kind of just prefer to, play games with my friends offline and just kind of be in my own space and not really have to worry about being on camera. Yeah, I think the space has just changed overall. I also lost my job again. I got laid off. So I got laid off from Facebook in 2023. I took about a year to find another job. I found a job at this really great tech startup, and I was there for about a year, and unfortunately the company went under and I was laid off again. So on and off jobs for the last year or so. It's been kind of a pain in the ass, which I think has directly contributed to my lack of wanting to make content on Twitch, let alone make content on YouTube. It was like, there's just so much going on, having to worry about, how do I keep a roof over my head and how do I make sure my car payments are made and all my bills are paid and things like that. And it's like, I had to kind of prioritize my life a little bit. And that definitely ate into the sneaker content as well, because I wasn't buying as many shoes, especially after I got laid off. My sneaker buying was like at a very bare minimum. I only bought about 9 pairs of shoes in 2024. I didn't even talk about them that much. There were a few pairs I talked about a lot, but for the most part, I didn't even talk about new releases and all those things. I just wasn't in the right headspace to talk about those things. I was just focusing on so many other projects to, just have to take responsibility. Being an adult kind of sucks. TikTok ban is looming. Waiting on the US Supreme Court to make a decision on whether or not they actually, decide to ban the app. And let alone today, TikTok also announced that they are going to cease operations in the US entirely if the Supreme Court decides to not ban the app. And it kind of makes sense as to why they were going to do that, because quick story, after I got laid off from my startup job in mid-November, I actually took a job interview with TikTok to work with gaming creators and help build up the TikTok gaming program. I went through about 4 rounds of interviews with a bunch of different team members in the US, Japan, and China. Those interviews went really, really well. Going into Christmas, I would say maybe 2 weeks out before Christmas, my recruiter that I was working with at the time went silent on me. I didn't hear from her for weeks. All the feedback I had gotten leading up to that point was all positive. So at that point, I kind of felt like the job was a lock. I was just gonna move back to LA. I was gonna take this position working in creator operations, and I would have just, rented my house out and I would have just kind of moved on. Turns out that she was let go. And now hearing the news today, after I didn't get the job, after all those interviews, I got through to a different recruiter that wasn't even involved in the process. And she told me that they were not moving forward with my candidacy, which is a huge bummer, especially after putting in all that time and effort into preparing for the role. But it actually kind of makes sense, because after today's news, I guess they were just kind of preparing for, there's a potential that they're not going to actually have jobs come mid-January. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't get the job. And the news today just kind of confirms that they are preparing for the absolute worst. And after I was denied the job, I kind of went into a bit of a crash out. I was tired of getting rejection after rejection after rejection after being ghosted multiple times and just being disrespected by pretty much every industry professional there is. I just decided that maybe I should just do something on my own. Being somebody who has made content for the last 10 years and someone that just loves sneakers and fashion and streetwear, I figured there's probably an opportunity for me to maybe dive into some of the creative thinking that I've been doing and some of the jobs that I've done, working at WhatsApp, working at Facebook, working at Apple, successful, there's likely an opportunity there where I can kind of tie the things that I've learned over the years and maybe express all of that knowledge through clothing. And not just clothing. I want to do something that is collaborative in nature. I want to tell stories, and I want to work with other people who think like I do and make shit in its purest form. So I think clothing is a really good entryway to kind of just express myself a little bit, and then also kind of push the boundaries of, you know, how far my knowledge can actually stretch and how quickly can I adapt and deal with ambiguity. So I decided to kind of dive in and just build my own brand, if you will. And that's what I'm doing now. And to be honest with you, my end goal, my overall goal would be to work with some sneaker brand and design my own shoe. That would be the ultimate goal of all of this. If I can take something that I feel is going to impact and resonate with a lot of people and allows me to creatively express myself, I feel like that could be something that I strive for. Maybe not a year from now or maybe 10 years from now, but I still think that's a very ambitious goal for me to set and maybe, you know, try to design things and put things out there and then see if people like it. And even if they don't like it, it's good to maybe just hear that feedback and then go back to the drawing board and try things out. But more importantly, I want to do something for myself. I'm tired of just answering to other people that are just completely incapable of doing their job. All of us are just kind of winging it. Every single job that I've had and every C-suite person that I've worked next to, they're just winging it. Don't let anyone bullshit you otherwise. Don't let any of those job titles confuse you or discredit you from wanting to like interact with these people. They're just like you and I. We're just kind of winging it, man. And I think most people just take their work a little bit too seriously and just aren't honest with themselves or even with the work that they're doing. Just admitting the fact that we're human and we're all just kind of figuring things out as we go. And that's just it. And I'm tired of answering to those people who pretend that they know what they're doing when they truthfully don't. Let me show you guys my sneaker room. Oh man, this place is dirty. So my sneaker room is an absolute mess, as you can see. I'm actually in the process of getting rid of a lot of these shoes. Like everything that's in boxes here is going to be going. And I got a bunch of clothes on the floor that I'm actually in the process of selling. And shout outs to everybody that follows me on TikTok that's actually bought some shirts for me. I've already shipped them out. So by the time this video hits YouTube, hopefully those shirts have already landed in your mailbox. I've even got a bunch of like new and used pairs that I'm starting to post online as well. So obviously anyone that has been following me, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, or just on social media in general, I'm going to make all of these available to you guys if you want to buy any of my personal collection. I'm going to do my best to not actually put them on GOAT or StockX or Grailed or any of those platforms. I just want to get them directly to the people that want to wear this stuff. And more importantly, I'm going to be using the funds from all of the stuff in this room that I'm selling to, one, pay my mortgage, and two, it's going to help kind of fund this creative endeavor that I am on so that I can, you know, pay for things like working with designers or, you know, buying items from the supplier so I can do research and development, working on, you know, building up advertising and, you know, figuring out how to handle logistics. Like there's so much to it. To build something. But what excites me is that it's a brand that I can operate under and I can do collaborations under because everyone knows me as HKsmash and has known me for that name for years. I want to be known by my real name. Like I want people to know that there are things that I am genuinely interested in and passionate about. And I want them to kind of get a sense of who I am as a person, not just for who I am on the internet. And this is like a complete pivot as far as like my professional career. I've been working in tech for over 15 years. So doing creative direction is something completely new to me, but also not entirely far-fetched considering that a lot of the things that creative directors do are not entirely off of the things that I've done in the past when it comes to managing multiple projects and overseeing content strategy and things like that. Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to it that I'm going to have to learn. I'm certainly not going to take myself back to college to do that when I have access to so much free information, which takes me to my next point. I've actually been really inspired by Virgil Abloh's free game. I'm actually utilizing a lot of the information inside of that guide to essentially guide me through the process of making sure I'm covering all of my bases when building a brand. More importantly, the object of free game I think resonates with me the most because looking back at all the content I've made on TikTok, a lot of that information is just free game, talking about how to buy shoes, how to sell shoes, how certain shoes fit, And kind of looking at all that is just really knowledge sharing. And I think this creative, collaborative endeavor that I'm on, I want to continue that effort that Virgil set forth. And of course, I'm not going to be able to match anywhere near what Virgil did. But at the very least, I think in practice, if I can utilize my social platforms and some of my knowledge to get things out to people that are in need of it, I think that's super impactful. And I would love to do things like, working with, whether they're photographers or cinematographers, artists in music, in actual, physical art, clay, painting, whatever it is. If there's anything that I can do to maybe get some information from them and then share that with the world for free, or even get them to help me build out an archive of free game, I think that would be fantastic. I feel like it's for the greater good, right? Like, there's so much knowledge out there that I don't think a lot of people are utilizing it to their advantage to better themselves. So if there's something that I can do through my own artistic expression and being able to, maybe inspire somebody to do something for themselves, or, maybe they'll learn something new or learn not to do whatever, this has definitely given me like a sense of purpose. And that's something that I've lacked for a little while, trying to find a new job and trying to figure out, like, what do I do in this world, right? Like, I want to feel like I'm doing something with purpose. And right now I feel like I just want to be creative and I want to tell stories and talk about everything from, where I come from and, the things that make me tick, the things that I hate, and just kind of tell stories about those things and then just share that through, clothing design. I think is just an area that I've been very curious about, and I want to explore that curiosity a lot more. And more importantly, I even want to try to build things that fit me right, because I'm like an extra medium guy and I can never find clothes that fit me the way I want them to fit me. So this is definitely one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to do it myself since nobody else can actually figure out what fits me correctly. Now, I don't necessarily have a strategy of how I'm going to be posting content on this platform when it comes to the long form stuff. So sneaker reviews, I still would like to do that, but realistically, I'm not buying too many shoes at the moment. There could be some other things that I do related to shoes that I can still post here in long form. But for the most part, I'll be posting a lot of short form content and then also talking about the issues and the trials that I run into when it comes to building this thing and trying to get it off the ground. But I do invite you to take this journey with me, and I'm glad I had an opportunity to speak to you face to face on this channel. I know it's been quite a while since I've seen you guys, but I am motivated and I am certainly going to do my best to make this work. And I'm excited to work with a lot of you, especially the creators on TikTok that are here on YouTube as well, that I know personally. I'm excited to work with y'all too, because I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity for us to work on something together. But here are some of the next steps. I am currently, I don't know if you guys can see it in the reflection of my glasses, and I hope not, but I'm looking at some of the concepts of the branding that I've put together, working with another designer to help me kind of get my ideas out of here and on paper. I'm going to reveal that in the coming days, ideally before TikTok gets shut down potentially. And then I also need to finalize a supplier and a manufacturer that will do exactly what I'm looking for, which has been a challenge in and of itself, but a fun challenge nonetheless. But I hope that paints a clear picture of where I've been and what I've been up to. And all of the short videos that you've seen thus far has definitely been the most current of what I've been up to. But I think having these types of conversations are very, very important. And I would like to do them more. And if that's something you are interested in hearing about, then you should let me know in the comment section. Now, I'm going to finish reviewing some of these concepts and I need to send some notes over to my designer and finish that up. So until then, stay tuned. I'll see you guys soon.